welcome to episode 9 of the Barnsey Podcast.
Yo.
Another episode coming to you only a couple of weeks after the last episode. So our content is coming a lot quicker now that we've got the new studio set up. And on top of that, we've got a double guest line up today. We've got Mitch and we've got Jezza. So welcome, boys.
Welcome back.
Thanks, guys.
Good to fill up the room with multiple microphones and getting it all sorted. So let's just jump right into it. Jezza, I believe that you've got a couple of topics that we want to bring up. I think that you mentioned was one of your topics MH70? Was that one of the things you wanted to bring up?
Not really, no. We were just reading a bit about that earlier.
Yeah.
I did read something about the wreckage having a lot of shrapnel evidence.
I saw a photo of that just before. I don't know
much about it. I did see on the news the other day, they were carting the wreckage into the Netherlands for further analysis.
Yeah, I saw that, the train.
It was all wrapped up like a big Christmas present. You know, all these orange sheets were covering the whole thing, so you couldn't really see much.
Well, it was a thing where there wasn't any access to the site for like ages. Apparently it was like bodies in the field for like a couple of weeks. And there's like YouTube...
the bodies like remained at the site, or people didn't have access to the body.
There was a big thing that they were like decomposing, and like there was footage on YouTube of people just going up and like rebels like pulling people like, you know, their bodies and showing like their face and like holding up their like head to like get IDs and like these are like not trained first responders, you know, these are just like, you know.
Well, even civilians were getting to the site and apparently looting the bodies.
I saw that as well, and that you can see that footage on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's like people going through suitcases.
Going through wallets and stuff, trying to find passports that they can sell and all their personal. That was when it first happened. I remember seeing footage and reports of that.
Oh, lovely.
And how long ago was that? And now we're only just getting it. Like, how much of it can you trust? Because how much of it has been tampered with?
Well, that's the thing. A lot of, like, I watch a lot of those air crash investigations. I think we've talked about it on the podcast before. And the thing, I know I'm not learning much from a TV show, but the thing that they do tend to show is that the amount of time when they get the wreckage is a big thing. Now, they have found wreckage that is like bottom of the ocean and still being able to like forensically recreate what was wrong. But it seems like a lot of this wreckage was like exposed to the elements and, you know, it looked like forklifts and stuff were picking up the bits. Like it wasn't kit gloves. So is that going to affect what kind of thing they can reconstruct from the evidence? Those air crash investigation shows, I've seen some where it's been a complete like disintegration of the plane pretty much, where there's not one part that's much bigger than, say, the flight door. And they go into a warehouse, and sometimes it takes a couple of years, but they completely recreate. Like they'll get it like a wire frame, which is the shape of the fuselage, and just like every bit that they find, like a jigsaw puzzle, put it all back together. Yeah. And then sometimes when they do that, they're like, look, we just can't do this part of the puzzle, and this must be where something blew out first. Or they can actually start to see like fire trail burns coming from one part, and once they've got the fuselage recreated, they can figure out the stream of that, and then okay, that was that fuel line. But with that Russian shoot down thing, like there was heaps of footage and reports of, I can't remember what they call it, but it's like this missile system that's on like a truck, and they were showing it going into the area, and then they showed it leaving the area and going back over the border, missing one shell. Have you seen any of the footage of that?
No.
Yeah, they said it was like a Russian anti-air thing, and they pretty much confirmed that that's what shot it down, but they don't know who shot it. Whether
rebels, suspected
rebels, whether it was the Russians themselves. And then there's conspiracies that, you know,
the wild
Allies did it themselves to, you know, raise concern in that area.
But the thing that I heard when it first came out was that whoever had shot it was basically not trained to be operating a piece of weaponry at that level.
I do remember.
So they were used to using like shoulder held devices, and then and this was isn't that what the news that came out, that it was Russian technology? But the Russians were disputing whether it was actually Russian troops. They're saying it was. Ukraine.
That was another big thing about the questions that were raised, was the altitude that the plane was flying at, and the airline came out saying, no, we were. Because all of the other airlines at that time were diverting around that area, and apparently it's more expensive to divert. So that's why Malaysian Airlines decided, no, we're going to keep going this. But the protocol was for even when there is a war zone or a conflict zone, you can fly at, I can't remember the number, it might be 30,000 feet.
30.
Is considered safe because those shoulder-based ballistics won't reach you there. But those... I can't
this
remember.
Was a proper
anti-air? Is it SAM missile?
I think it's
system?
AA, man, because I'm pretty sure it's anti-air that they.
Those definitely can hit you at 30,000.
Yeah, it wasn't a shoulder. Woof. It was a vehicle with like big fucking missiles.
Which means not just one lone dude that was like, I also heard that
premeditated for sure.
But what I was talking about as far as the training is not just in the use of the missiles, but more so being able to detect the difference between a military and a commercial flight. And they were saying that this person that operated this machinery really shouldn't have been operating, whoever he was, because he was not trained to that level. And one of the main things was being able to detect, and so it shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, it sounds like a really easy story to put out there, though.
I suppose.
Yeah, for sure.
I heard that there was a culture of shoot anything down as well. Like a lot of those soldiers that were on the ground at the time, those Russian, rebels and whatnot, they had there was an air of let's get anything out of the sky that we can get, and they were going for like cargo planes and things like that.
They had put a couple down in the week previous.
That's right, yeah. So there's the question of, did they just think that was a cargo plane? I think there was also, I've seen online, there was some radio communication that was released where it was like, I don't know, easily faked, but it was like, Russian voices going, civilian plane, and then shoot it, fire, engage.
Oh, what?
I did hear that.
Can you say that again?
So it was, I saw it on Al Jazeera. I did see it on the news. It's not just on the internet that I saw it, but they had some, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I definitely saw it, and I heard
footage of someone acknowledging that it's a civilian plane and saying to shoot it anyway.
I don't know if it was before the fact. I think it was actually after the fact, and they were going, "Oh shit, I was a civilian plane."
I've seen that. Right. Yeah, I've seen that, but I haven't seen what you're talking about.
Well, I could be getting confused. I thought it might have been as they were spotting it and then getting a confirmation to no, take it out. But
I'm pretty sure I heard radio shit of like, there's this plane being shot down. It's definitely civilian. A lot of people dead.
But can I just ask, do any of you guys think that it was like a premeditated attack? Like it was meant to? They knew it was like. Do any of you guys think that's what happened, or do you think it was an accident?
What do you reckon, Jezza?
I don't want to make any decision on it, really. I'm not big on it. I've read a fair bit about it, but I've read some wacky theories that they were guided into that airspace.
Yep.
For some reason.
Oh, okay.
Whether it be a mistake or
that's interesting. Why would they be guided in there?
Well, exactly.
I haven't
shot down.
Like a real juicy theory that I haven't heard, but usually the more juicy ones are like people that were on board, and there was this foreign affairs minister of this country that didn't play ball at the last cabal meeting. So they were like, all right, this is, I haven't heard any of those.
Well, have you heard the one about that was actually MH370? Haven't you heard that one? Yeah. That disappeared and now it's like being shot. Yeah, it's all been planned.
Holy shit, they had a fucking lot of fuel. It didn't last that long.
So MH370 again is another fucking weird one. Like the fact that there's just nothing. No shrapnel, We've talked about this on the podcast before, but in the year 2013, 14, whenever it happened, the fact that the technology doesn't exist for us to be able to pinpoint to its last beacon point where it went down.
So weird.
They're about to finish the search area too.
They just released what they've already searched on the news the other night, and it shows this. It's like one of the biggest seabed mappings of that area ever. It's like something like 200,000 square kilometers, and they just show this like terrain computer graphic, and they're like, that's not been human searched, that's with our bot technology. So they've got like drones that have been going out there scanning the seabed floor. But even that
Bot
like
bots
won't
that go along the bottom of the ocean.
I think so. Like
bots,
remote control fucking boat bots.
I think they're like it's that thing they float. I think that floats on the water behind, and they have to go really, really, really slow, and it does it by sonar. I'm pretty sure.
But I heard a thing about MH370. I can't remember where I heard of it. They were talking about that this should bring attention to the fact about how little planes are actually tracked on these massive flights over these long stretches of ocean, and how far the pings are between. That it's not, people have this concept that they're constantly monitored all the way,
and that's it.
Over,
it's
but the distance between the satellites and
completely. Like that spun me the fuck out when that plane went down. And have you ever been on a plane where they show you a map and your plane with a little blipping along a map?
Yeah.
Like I thought that just meant to me, in my mind, when I see that, every plane's got that, and it's not just the people in the plane that get that, but there's someone on the ground that's seeing a blip as well.
That's what they want you to think.
Funny you say that.
Yeah.
Funny you say that, because I was watching a plane the other day. I obviously, wait for a lot of planes at the airport.
I shoot birds at the airport.
Anyway, I was tracking
Don't you work at a chicken shop?
That's what I wanted to be, but things didn't go as planned. So I was tracking this plane, and all of a sudden it was coming from Adelaide or Melbourne or somewhere locally, and it just disappeared for ages. And I was doing a search, and it just like not found.
Is this like the online track a plane website?
Yeah, there's a few of them.
Yeah.
I was on this particular one, and it shows all the other flights around it, and it just disappeared. And I thought, oh, what's going on?
It's done a lost.
It's done an MH something.
Did it come back on the radar, obviously?
It appeared from the dimension to which it went.
See, that's the other thing. Like, if there's that website that you can track, and I've known people that have waiting for people coming overseas to visit them, and they've been able to log on to that website and see where their plane is, and they mostly do it to see, like, if there's a delay, if it's due to come in at the right time. But, yeah, it's like, it's at this coordinate. So if... like, did that plane just not have it? I guess that's just maybe an estimation, a computer estimation based off those ping points.
Yeah, they have like a flight plan, and like, and at this point we should be here.
It's like when your GPS actually loses connection to the satellite, instead of it freaking out. I've noticed this on my car GPS now. The old school GPS, as soon as it lost signal, it's like, I'm fucked. File error, whatever. Now it just takes where you were, it takes the speed that you're traveling at, and it just assumes you're going to maintain that until it sees the satellite again. And maybe that's the kind of thing that's happening with those websites showing the planes, is that, we only spoke to it like 2 hours ago, but according to how fast it's going and the flight path that it's taking, we can give you a blip on a radar that makes you think that we're tracking it second by second. But it's fucking freakish, man. Like if you're on a plane,
a lot of assumptions are made.
So here's my question: is this like, do you know the theory of Schrodinger's cat with the when the box is closed and if it's not observed, it's like technically alive and dead at the same time, right? So my question is like that plane that disappears off the blip.
Yeah.
Does that like exist at that point? Because there's no one else to like actually observe whether it exists.
So
and then is it in this state of like quantum flux where it like exists and doesn't exist at the same time? And then what happened is 370 just didn't make it back.
Yeah.
But if there was only one person on that plane, then yes. But there's other people observing other people on that plane.
No, he's saying it got eaten by the Langoliers. I get it.
That's pretty freaky. So that's kind of like that lost, weird timeline of where. But then the moment that we find the wreckage, that's when their actual other existence ceases. So they're currently existing in that other Schrodinger's cat version, and hoping we don't find it. Because that then ends that other parallel.
That ends the other possibility.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think Schroeder's cat was in the news the other day.
Really?
Yeah, Ricky Schroeder's cat.
But they went into rehab.
I was sad to see there hasn't been any Lambie news for you this week,
No,
Barnsey.
Lambie,
She's now independent now.
So she has gone independent. So she
Yeah.
left pub.
Which I think is bullshit. We kind of touched on this last time. I think it's bullshit that you can fucking
Get
go
voted
under the
in as one
banner of a party and then go independent.
Well,
But you were telling us last time that that's what other independents have done.
Yeah.
Is that what Xenophon did?
Well, Xenophon's
He
launched
wasn't
a new
part of a party, yeah. He was part of
launched
the
a new
legislature.
party.
Yeah, he's always been independent.
He has been from the
He was
start,
he was
yeah.
elected as an
Oh, he has been for a
independent.
long
time.
I think he was part of the
Legislative Assembly.
something. I think he
council.
was part of a party. I'm not too
Yeah,
sure which
yeah, I think
one.
he was a while ago, but he's been
And then
independent for quite
he
a
He's
said
while.
involved
no.
in politics, yes, and then he.
Yeah. But he's launched a new party. I saw
has
like
he?
last week. He's launching a new political party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he'll be the head of this party. I don't know what their platform is and all that kind of jazz. But
Speaking of
interesting.
launching new parties, I saw, you see a million fucking things on social media of people starting up fucking campaigns and stuff. But there's a mate of mine who's like he barely posts shit online, and he's like, a really cool muso. He's like, plays around the country and shit. And he posted this thing, so like, I can't remember what it's called. It's like the Australian Rock Party or something like that. And I was like, okay, I'll check it out. And they're not actually even an official party yet. They need to get an official amount of members or something before they,
in each state.
register. But they're saying that their whole concept will be all of their members direct vote to them on what their vote becomes. So it's kind of like what we were talking about before, where why can't we have a system where fuck just voting for one dude to represent, every so many years. We've got the technology to directly give our say on each individual issue.
Exactly.
And that's what this party seems to be doing. And it seems to be focused.
It's a good idea in theory. Well, it sounds like a good idea.
Definitely. And
Like a
being
DI.
like
Do you reckon Farnsey would be president before too long if the whole system was like that? How long before Farnsey's doing the two strong hearts president?
yeah,
You're the voice.
get
Farnsey and
Barnsey.
Olivia Newton-John. This whole concert tour is just they're going into politics. They're going to announce
Barnsey as
I'd direct
treasurer.
vote on that.
Barnsey and Farnsey.
Yeah, that's right. The A team.
It's
Can't believe you brought up the B word.
He's my uncle.
Anyway, I think it's only a matter of time before we hear the word Lambie again in the
Well,
mouth.
yeah,
I think that she's still standing firm on this whole Defence Force pay rise thing. I think
She's
that's-
ex-military, isn't she?
Yeah, so that's become her crutch to bear. And I think that, I don't know if it's blocking other legislation. So there's GP tax, I think now that
They've dropped that, and I think they're going for a $5 co-payment thing now. I think they've dropped the
it from
old
7
one
to 5.
Yeah. And
But isn't there a whole bunch
few
of other
things which
stuff
are-
that's
yeah,
not
there is.
covered as well? Like I saw something
it's
about
all
that as well, that-
it's all different now. It's completely different to what they put forward. But yeah, it's that won't get through either, man. Like they've got to deal with PUP now. They've got to deal with fucking her. They've got to deal with Xenophon.
Oh, so they are. So she's still going to have some sort of a balance of power. Like
Well,
they are going to have to deal with her.
It's just like another entity that they now have to deal with, So not
But
only
is she a significant one? Like, can she be the balance in?
she
certain
could
things?
be. It depends on the bill and how these other people play out. Like Xenophon's a big player now because he's could be that one person.
Right.
Like and Glenn Lazarus, he's with PUP. He fucking hates him, man, and he's almost as bad as
Footy
Lambie.
player?
Yeah, he's an ex-footy player.
Is
He
he
played for the
Central Coast?
Broncos.
Like up
He played
north?
for the Broncos. Yeah, I think he's a Queensland senator. I think.
Oh, Queensland. Okay.
And yeah, he's pretty much the reason why this GP thing didn't go through because he blocked it in the Senate and the PUP blocked it along with Labor.
So
They blocked it.
I don't know if we've played it on the podcast, but just on the topic of football players in politics, have you guys seen?
Meninga?
Have you seen that?
No,
video?
it's so fucking good.
No, actually,
Oh,
yes, I
it's
have.
so
Yeah, but can
fucking
you please
good.
play
So
it? Yes,
good.
I have
So
seen it.
good.
Yeah, I have.
It is so classic,
epic.
man.
But he made the right call, though. No question about it.
Fucking
That's where.
oath.
Do you remember the Chaser had the Mal Award for?
Man, I've started working at a place that sells DVDs and like TV shows and shit, and they got DVDs of the Hamster Wheel and fucking and Australia Votes. Like We Can Canberra Remember that?
Yeah.
Who the fuck buys that on DVD? Like, sure, it was great, but it was about an election like 3 years ago. It's so out of date.
Maybe people that worked on that campaign.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, but there must be enough people to justify making a DVD.
Apparently, they're really big in Canberra. Mate, I just came back from Canberra.
Right.
I did see a lot of like old Chaser DVDs in the Woolies down there.
There you go.
Here we go.
Pull your shit
Pump it up.
Pull your head in, Peter. Come on, man. Remember that? You don't remember the Tom Cruise episode?
He's Sydney's prostitute.
Here we go. This is really lonely. The most honest political candidate in Australian history.
24 seconds.
Throughout my sporting career, I've had the urge to do community work, and I think I've really worked hard on that aspect. My 16 years in Canberra, and the thing about that is that I was, I guess, a public figure, and I was put on on the podium where I was just a person out there, but making sure that I was. I'm bugging.
That's it. This guy's unbugged.
It's fucking brutal.
Yeah, I hate it. And sometimes,
Can't think.
like, I can even feel for that Meninga moment, just when you're like, you kind of think you can bullshit, and you're on that bullshit sort of like brainwave, and then all of a sudden that brainwave just drops dead, it's like a flat line, and you're left hanging with this like lie, and you're just like.
But I don't even know if it was a lie as much as it was just that he just lost confidence. He lost his nerve.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think he was like being dishonest. And
you like lose your train of thought, but then
and then you
realise that you've lost your train of thought.
And all you can think about is the panic that you're experiencing, and everyone can tell that I'm panicking.
I'm not making sense here. I've got to try and remember how to make sense here, and then it just falls apart.
That's what happens every time I start a podcast with you guys. For the first like 5 to 10 minutes, I'm like, don't say anything that's fucking weird and doesn't make any sense. Coming down off that buzz.
Fully
exactly last time. Hey, dude, can I just ask the new puffer?
Yeah.
Can I have a hit on it?
Mark.
All right, bro, give us a count in.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1. Let's go, fucking bitches.
All right.
So yeah, the vapor. Been going through a few different flavor incarnations and found that the coffee and the cookies, that's the combination that really works for me, and that's got some nicotine in it.
Is that one that you got there? I know it's different to the one that you had at the last podcast, but did you have that when you came over to my house recently?
Yeah.
And you so you were already onto that?
Yeah, this is like obviously a lot more, portable and smaller form factor. So,
and how does it compare performance-wise?
Really close. Like, I mean, that big fat battery one, that's got probably twice the voltage. So
Camera shot.
Into the camera, yeah. So yeah, the other one's got a lot more voltage, but the thing is that because it's stronger, I put bigger tanks on it. So these smaller tanks, like married with the smaller battery, actually perform very similarly. So I'm really happy with it. It's like heaps easier to put in my pocket. I can take it out to a gig and stuff like that, and not have it like way down my pants, like it's pulling down my pants kind of thing. Like, it was just too chunky, the other one. So the other one just sits at home, and this is like my go to work one. And yeah, I've smoked the occasional cigarette in the last couple of weeks, just out of habit, because I'm outside with some cigarette smokers, Are you still at that point where they taste filthy? Oh, they're dirty. Need to be wiped off the face of the planet? I'm sure you guys can relate to when you quit cigarettes. Like, how sensitive do you get to the smell of other people smoking? Like, it's to the point now where I'm driving my car, and I can smell somebody in the car in front of me smoking if they've got their window open.
Yeah, me too. They light up.
How about the one where you're walking along the street and the person in front of you is like smoking and they're walking, but it's a long walk and you have to walk for 500 metres behind this person that's smoking. And
what about when you're riding your motorcycle and someone flicks out their ciggy out the window and it hits your goggles, bounces off, and you're like, for fuck's sake, man. Glass the cunt.
It's good that you
But do you do the thing as well, like I'm talking about when you've quit and you're trying not to smoke and you get that scenario when you walk, because everyone who's quit smoking has definitely had that scenario where you had to walk behind someone that's smoking. And do you do that thing where you kind of like you're trying to decide how far to go behind them because you want to decide how much of the smoke you want to get without feeling like, oh, I'm kind of technically like enjoying this a bit too much, so I'll back off a little bit, but I don't have to back off too much because it's kind of nice to have that little bit of this.
Yeah.
You done that? No. Okay.
So yeah, no.
So it's just me. All right.
This has been great, and it's it's been the one thing that's really worked getting me off the cigarette. So I think I'm well and truly off it now. And I actually offer this to cigarette smokers as I go and have a ciggy with them because they're like, oh, you know, what's that? It smells really nice. And yeah, everyone loves the flavour. I think I should like trademark this combination because there's like two different brands that I'm hybrid mixing together. I should find out their base ingredients and start my own e-juice. Barnsey e-juice.
What are they again? Chocolate? No, cookies?
Coffee and cookies. Yeah.
Coffee and cookies.
But
that sounds like a good combo.
The cookie flavour technically is actually a tobacco flavour with cookies added. It's weird, yeah. But these two together, they're very tasty. And the nicotine hit, like you can hit this too hard and then start to get that. I need to sit down, head spin from too much nicotine.
Wow.
So,
the police look at you funny.
Yeah, go ahead. So the coppers actually around these suburbs aren't so bad because there's actually I've noticed quite a few people using them in public.
Looks a bit like a crack pipe.
I can't really. You should try and pull it in your mouth a bit first to get it going and then drag
I tend to bum puff it a bit and then when I see some vapor, then I take a hit. Yeah. And you taste the.
So that's got tobacco in it, has it?
It's got nicotine.
Nicotine, sorry.
Yeah, which does give you that throat hit, which I like.
It is a bit tasty, actually.
But the aftertaste is very, very nice. Yeah.
That is really nice.
Yeah. So
that coffee really kicks in, doesn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, it's tough though because I've talked about it on the podcast a few times. You can't get nicotine in Australia, so I'm having to buy the juice that's got the nicotine in it from the UK. It takes a couple of weeks to get here. It's pretty expensive. Nowhere near as expensive as buying cigarettes. But then the cookie juice is one that's a non-nicotine one, so I can just buy that locally in Australia. Okay. So it's I have to travel to a shop to get that, and then I have to mail order for the other one. So
now that you're sort of out of the phase of your initial outlay, it's starting to pay for itself now. So how much do you reckon you're going to be spending, say per month, moving forward?
It'd be lucky to be $50. Yeah, and that's probably a bit generous.
Yeah.
So
it's the timing though. You got to make sure you get your timing right. Otherwise, you're in danger of not having the juice to keep going.
Yeah, I did have a period there where I was, in between mail orders and ended up experimenting with some pretty weird fucking shit from the local store. And
it was fucking rank.
It was pretty bad.
This sounds like an 80s song. I went into the shop and found some weird experimental shit.
Detachable vapor.
So yeah, no, the vaping's going good. I'm still off the cigarettes, and I recommend it to everybody that I talk to that's trying to get off cigarettes and have tried other nicotine patches and shit like that. I say try this. You might just be replacing one thing for the other, but it's certainly heaps healthier than combusting.
Well, it's good to hear, man. I wish you well in your nicotine quitting endeavours. May God be with you, and look to him when you feel weak, and just remember, we all love you too.
Yeah, man. I'll wean myself off this over time as well because I can get lower nicotine levels in the juice as well. So I'll, go half the strength next batch and half again next batch, and then I should be nicotine free. So yeah.
And how are you feeling?
Heaps better, man. It's a massive difference. Your
chest feels better.
Oh, I've got a massive walk to work at the moment. It's a good 30-minute power walk because my current public transport only gets me halfway of where I need to go. If I was smoking cigarettes I was smoking before, I would be probably stopping halfway, and it's oof.
Full Homer.
1,000 knives of fire stabbing me in the heart. You know. Need to take a defibrillator with me on the way. One thing I've been hearing about lately, it looks like it's going to come into force, is the local councils are going to start banning smoking in public areas. And I think they're starting next year with all of Martin Place. Now, this isn't
It's a trial.
It's a trial.
12-month trial.
12-month trial.
Soft approach. It's not going to be...
Soft approach.
Soft
This
approach.
is not what I heard. What have you heard?
I heard they're going to be asked to refrain. They're not going to be fined or anything like
Really?
that. Yeah.
So it starts with, please extinguish your cigarette. Now, that's going to turn into conflict. Like, just imagine, like, now Martin Place is probably, not, Coogee Beach.
Well, they're
Like,
not
I'd
going
like
to
to
do
see
it
those
in
fucking
Macquarie Fields somewhere, are they?
same, enforcers going to somewhere like that, or bloody the smoking area at Dapto RSL or something, and trying to enforce it, It's Martin Place is probably one place that, is gentrified enough for people to accept it, and probably, who knows, a majority of people would welcome it, Like we were just saying, as a non-smoker, you fucking can smell another person smoking. And a lot of people will just go to Martin Place to eat their lunch, and I can understand that being pretty fucking disgusting. I don't know if it should be enforced by fucking rangers, and yeah, it might be a soft approach when it starts, but I read that it will be enforceable by fine. So that's probably why they're starting with a soft approach, so they can then turn around and was like, well, we had a period where we were just telling people, and it's been in the media enough that you should be aware of it, so now there's fines, and there's a problem when you have an institution of collecting revenue through fines. It doesn't become about, being mindful of other people in public. It becomes about fucking now filling quotas and shit, and people's careers and new jobs become created off fucking, punishing people for shit like that. I find it, it's a hard thing to reel back once it's established, those kinds of things.
Well, it's like that thing that we were watching about the, what do they call it, where the cops were taking people's possessions that they thought might have been involved in crimes.
Yeah,
and it's like
proceeds of crime,
proceeds of crime, and it's like once that came into effect, it was only a matter of time before it just became an institution, and these guys just started going for money.
And they were blatantly displaying the shit that they were getting off the back of that.
The margarita machine.
Tanks and fucking crazy stuff, like local PDs getting fucking massive things based off the back of illegal search and seizures, and that's fucking crazy. So that's the kind of slippery slope I worry about with
that's what I understand what you're saying about that. It creates an industry, and there's definitely a financial incentive for these guys to bust people. But what is how I'm trying to envisage this scenario where that power could be corrupted, and what could they
It's not that the power becomes corrupted, it's just it becomes a relied upon revenue stream, you know what I mean? I don't think that it'll be,
Well, it'd be a big tourist trap, wouldn't it? It's it'd be like summertime would just be a bonanza for all the tourists walking through Martin Place. They're like, are you?
Definitely, fucking oath. Or would it get to a point where it's enforced by bloody CCTV? And it's just got some fucking algorithm that's
speakers.
Auto
put out the cigarette.
the
biometric face recognition, and you just get a fine in the mail.
It's I think we talked about this on the podcast before as well. It's like that shit Robocop. I think it's Robocop 3.
This is what we're talking about in the way to the.
And they make him fucking be all polite and shit.
This is it. We were literally talking about this in the car on the way to the podcast today. What we're talking about Robocop 3, where he has to go all PC. He has to go all PG, right?
Yeah. The one fucking carnage bit was a dude that lights a ciggy up on the side of the street, and he fucking screeches the car to a stop, gets out of the car, holds the gun, the leg fucking, the massive fucking flame-throwing gun comes out. It's like,
That's in number 1.
Is it 1?
That's number 1. Thank you for smoking.
Yeah, is that number 1?
He said that exactly.
Doesn't do. Oh, okay. I might be getting mistaken. But he's 3 where he's all PC. And he's got like
I can't remember.
He's all PG.
That's
literally what happened. That's why that movie went shit. Because the first 2 were like hard R's, and they were like really violent. And then the third one, the new producers came in and said, "Oh, like this character is like really popular. You know, we've seen him on T-shirts and everything. Like we should do like a big movie. The kids will love it. You know, like let's go PG and like get in the big like Christmas bucks." And everyone went.
But there was that scene where he goes and electrocutes himself to get rid of all of that shit. Remember that?
Oh, to wipe his program.
Yeah. And then he's got 0 directives. And I remember at that point in the movie, he's like, he doesn't even have the Prime 3 directives now. Like, fuck, even like uphold the law. Don't even need that now. Like, just go out there.
That's because there was that Prime directive that made him have to always obey the corporation.
Yes. Protect the innocent.
But there was like one that overrid everything, there was one that overrid everything. The one that he had to get rid of, which was that he had to obey this one person or the.
That was like the OCP.
OCP. That's
it.
Hidden directives.
Yeah, there was a hidden directive that he had to do. What they said,
and he's that scene where he's like. I cannot kill your wife. It's like hidden directive.
One thing.
It's coming out flashing in his head. Hidden directive 97. Hidden directive 97. Ging.
How's this? A mate of mine.
Haven't I had that experience before when I've wanted to shoot someone else? Hidden directive. Do not shoot.
Just twitching out in the corner. Fucking a mate of mine's got a 3D printer, and he like does all this fucking awesome shit and posted on Facebook what he's done. One of the things he did was the OCP logo. Awesome! It's like this big, like nice. He fully painted it. And
have you seen that pen one that's just come out?
No.
And like dudes are doing like live, kind of like, how would you describe it? It's like a really thin pen, and they'll do like a wire work. Kind of like sculpture, like this like woman or whatever, but it's like you only see it if you look at it from a certain like perspective. You see this like woman sort of arching her back like on a table, but the thing is that by doing that, it's all programmed into the computer as well. So it's literally 3D printing live, but then you've got the 3D model in the computer that you've just created.
Wow, I saw something similar to that. On a fucking...
Sorry.
Well, I think it's a similar thing where this guy's got this... I saw it on the internet forum where he's created these GIFs where he's gotten a Halloween mask and he's put it on this like spindle thing where he spins the mask around and he's shooting like this laser at it, and in real time the computer's able to track the contours of what it's looking at, and then they can project that real time in VR. So they're saying that that's the first steps of like, say, 2 people putting on a helmet or some shit and doing like a live Skype, and it like we're sitting across from each other in real time, being able to render like, you know, face and stuff like that. I was seeing also, I just bought like a fucking Samsung mobile phone. And so I get all this fucking S4. It's actually
I've got an S4.
Beautiful phone. Like best phone I've ever fucking owned, but I'm way behind the times in phones. Like before this I had like a fucking Nexus 1, which is like from the late 90s.
Nexus 1, isn't that fucking...
It's up to like 6 or something.
Isn't that Blade Runner?
Probably.
It's the name Google of the phone. Fucking replicants?
Like, one of the original Google phones.
Yeah, right, okay.
So yeah, having this phone is amazing. But I get a whole bunch of fucking Samsung spam now. But I did notice one of the products that's coming out now is a Samsung VR helmet, and it's powered by Oculus. So it's like, I think Oculus is like licensed out, and it like syncs with your phone. Like now, I don't know how the fuck this works.
Sony's made their own VR headset as well. They showed it at E3 this year, and that looks pretty good as well. So it's big companies.
Have you guys bought an Oculus yet?
I haven't bought one. I've tried.
You've tried it?
One.
You have had one on?
I've tried one.
How was it?
Yeah. I felt a bit sick.
Oh, you felt a bit sick.
But
do you get motion sick though in cars and stuff?
Yeah, if I'm like trying to read.
Yeah, my girlfriend's the same.
But even like the dude that got it, it was CG. And the dude who got it, he's like, I can't play it for more than half an hour, 40 minutes.
Yeah, right.
He gets sick, and then he has to take like an hour and a half recover.
Hour and a half?
About that to recover, and then he can go again for another 30, 40 minutes. Oh. So it's cool. But I don't know. They have to overcome
But do
that.
most people, like, do all people have that experience, or is it only
Not
certain
everyone,
people?
but I'd say the majority.
Have you seen the clips of, like, have you heard about the Oculus Rift? If someone's wearing one, you push them in the back, they feel like they're fucking falling and they just completely freak out.
Yeah, right.
There's this clip of, like, they have it at a shopping center, like a shopping mall in America, and these dudes are trying it on, and then someone shoves them in the back, and they're like, just completely freaking out. Like, apparently it's just like the most, like, terrifying, like,
Full on.
just disorienting, like, experience.
I can only imagine. Like, it's going to get to a point where we're plugged into that shit, and people get hacked, and they'll be like, they'll figure out like, some strobe pattern that like opens up the reptilian brain, and all of a sudden, people going like these wild, like altered states, like reptilian sex rampages, because like this primordial part of their brain is awoken by this like hacked.
This is your area of expertise.
Is it really? It's freaking me out.
Is this on the plans for the Illuminati to have us all like have reptilian sexcapades like by Oculus Rift?
I'm a bit behind the times, I think.
Sign me up, I say.
I've never heard of it.
I read a review of the new Alien game, like Alien, like the Ridley Scott Alien,
Apparently
the Xenomorph, and they were talking
scary
about
as
it was the
fuck.
first. Yeah, they were saying that though it's the first game they've played with. No. I think
Isolation.
they'd read. Yeah, is that the one?
Alien Isolation,
like pretty new.
fucking looks fucking wicked.
I read this about 3 or 4 months ago, and they were saying that they have like done the Oculus Rift a few times before, but they said this is like one of the first times that they were like.
It's the right setting for it.
Like that, it was really immersive, and they were saying that a lot of it was just the details of the environment that you're in, because it's all those like kind of like tunnels, it's all dark and dripping, and and you can't really see very well. And but they were saying everywhere they looked, it was so immersive that they totally tripped out on that, and were just like exploring this world and just going, wow, this is amazing. And then all of a sudden, after about 7 minutes of like just totally tripping out in the environment, they just see something go past in the background, like maybe about 20 meters away, and then all of a sudden they go, and they remember that they're in a fucking alien game, and the alien is like going to be hunting them, and they said the moment of just their guts just dropping out, like just the floor falling out from beneath them, and just being like, holy shit.
That's pretty crazy.
That sounds pretty exciting.
Even without Oculus, that's supposed to be one of the most immersive Aliens games. And trust me, there's been a few shit ones in their time, and it looks awesome. I haven't played it yet, but give us some reviews, guys. Should I play it on console, on PC? Because I want to know. And what would you give it? Because I'm really keen to, because I've heard so many good things about it. I haven't really seen any gameplay, so let us know.
Well, I just haven't been following gaming at all, and when I read that description, I just went, man, that sounds like I might be ready to like jump back in. This sounds like a good point to jump in.
No, I'm pretty sure it's on next gen as well as PC, so it should look awesome. And
but with the Oculus Rift, is that something you just buy and you can have in your home?
No, it's not even developed. What people buy now is what's called the development kit, and I think there's the development kit version 2. It's just like an upgraded version of it, but they're still tweaking it and stuff. It's for developers of these games and shit, really, to get their hands on and understand how the technology works, so that they can start tailoring their apps and games and content to how to use it.
So it's not really out there.
It's not
in a
available
version
for purchase to the general. You can't go on the JB and buy it yet. You need to. It got bought out by Facebook just recently.
Oh Rift.
So.
Oh my god! Oculus Rift Facebook.
Like what the fuck?
Oh my god! Can you imagine your an immersive Facebook reality?
Totally, I remember.
That is terrifying.
Here's the other terrifying part of it is that within the same month of Facebook acquiring Oculus Rift, Google acquired a company called Boston Dynamics.
Oh,
I've heard of them. What do they do again?
Seen these videos? These are the guys that are basically
the fucking robot, that fucking military, spider creature that they.
The latest one that they've built, like you've seen that they call it the Big Dog, which is probably the one you've seen. They have it like on a conveyor belt, and it like hits like 40 k's an hour or something, and it's able to like jump over obstacles, and
you can kick it.
They kick it, self balances, and. But that was actually one of the early versions, and now they've gotten it even crazy. They've got one called the Cheetah, which is the next one from the Big Dog. This thing gets up to 60, 70 Ks on this like this conveyor belt thing that they show, it's like you just start picturing that shit hunting you down. And it's just like, holy fucking shit. Now the next one that I just saw, I think I'll see if I can find the video if you guys haven't seen it, but they've got a humanoid robot that they've managed to like.
Oh yeah. Is this the one that looks like it's in a little spacesuit? Like
it's got like a gas mask on.
No, that's the Japanese one.
No.
That's
Okay,
that's the Japanese one. Yeah,
but that's
like an
astronaut. But there was
astronaut.
something new that's come out. I saw this just.
This thing looks like fucking. It's full stormtrooper shit, man. Like, it's not perfect. It looks a little wonky. I'll see if I can find the video. But it's fucking. Now, this company bought by Google in the same month as Facebook buys Oculus Rift. Like, and this article was basically saying this is Skynet.
They're sick of paying for those street view cars driving around, so they just make these little robots running around the streets.
Like, it seems there's a lot of like people that talk about how science fiction really leads technology, like, because science fiction tends to dream forward, and good science fiction tries to take science and extrapolate in the future for that. So, like, this is so close to Terminator shit. Like,
there'll always be a way to combat them, though. I mean, just walk around with a few iron bars in your pocket and throw
just cut
magnetic bars and
tubes that are like feeding it fuel.
It'll stick to their legs and.
Whoa!
So yeah, it does have fuck ups. But
is that where it fucked up?
I think so. Yeah, and they like
it reached its limit.
Pull it up.
You throw a few big magnets at its legs and it throws it off balance. And
that's the thing. Like, are we gonna have to like have plasma rifles as like?
Of course.
That's pretty crazy.
As foretold by Hollywood. Did you see the one I put on Facebook, Barnsey?
Look at this.
The 3 drones that have the net and with the ball, and they all pull apart, and the ball flies up, and they fly over and catch it again.
Yeah. I've seen other ones where they've figured out swarm drone technology, and it's not like, you know, they've got like a swarm of small drones, like 20, 30. So it's not 30 dudes all learning to play in sync. They've figured out a way to have it autonomously talk to each other, and each one chirps to each other, just like a bird flock does.
Yeah.
And they
digibirds.
Fully, man, and they figured it out. Like, and it is just like...
Figured it out? How do you figure something like that out?
It's all algorithms
insane,
and
isn't it?
programming and advances in sensors. And
a lot of it's
like
to do with advancing in computer power. Like...
being able to compute all of that information.
Miniaturization is a big part of it too. Like, as we're able to get things smaller and smaller, like you just look at
in the toy shop, there's a drone this big, there's a quadcopter this big.
I've seen
just fly around the room.
On eBay you can buy ones that are like they come with an app, so you actually use your smartphone, so they've got a built-in camera into the drone, and so that projects onto your phone, so you're looking at the camera feed, and you just like move your phone, like the gyroscope in your phone becomes the remote control for your phone.
That's pretty cool.
Like, they're pretty expensive, those ones, but that's becoming consumer grade technology.
But it'd need to have a gyroscope in the phone, or most phones do have them.
Most do, yeah.
Of course they do, because you turn them and
they figure out the screen rotation, and there's a lot of games that you can get, like racing games and stuff, where you turn the car by just moving the phone.
No shit.
So it's but the technology's getting better and better.
That's pretty much what was in the Wii remotes. It was gyroscopes.
Yeah, right.
That's what made Wii remotes work.
Yes, well, robots.
What's one of your topics you want to talk about, Jezza?
Astro Boy.
Astro Boy?
No, that's the next big robot.
Did you watch the remake of Astro Boy?
Yeah, we've got it. The kids have got it.
I didn't mind it.
It's a bit shitty.
Is it animated or is it real?
Yeah, it's animated.
Right.
Yeah.
It's one of those like glossy 3D animations. Yeah.
Does he look like similar to the original Astro Boy?
Yeah, he does. He's a bit older though. I think I get the feeling he's more like a early teenager kind of vibe.
They tweaked the story a bit.
They tweaked it, but it was all right. I didn't watch it
Astro
all the way
Boy,
through.
Man. They show him occasionally on SBS, like late at night, and fuck, man, there was some pretty hardcore cartoons. Like there was like the death of Astro Boy, like, and there's a scene where like he's like Maker Dad, you know, that dude with the big nose, and the mustache.
Yeah, the professor. Yeah,
has to like go and like collect Astro Boy's dead body from the fight scene with this robot called Ulysses.
Oh, lovely!
It was this like golden robot that like it was epic, man. I remember like watching it as an adult and thinking back to how young I was when I saw it. I'm like,
do you remember watching it as a kid as well?
Oh fuck yeah, I loved Astro Boy.
I remember.
No, but do you remember seeing that particular episode?
Oh yeah,
I remember
man,
Adam watching that as a kid. I kind of remember Astro Boy, but I remember Adam watching Astro Boy.
Yeah, we all watched Astro Boy.
Do you remember I had that shirt with it had the hologram and when it turned one way, like you could see his skin, and he turned the other way. It was all his internal workings.
Yeah,
fully. That's good. Anyway, I was going to say that it looks like they might need Astro Boy over in Japan to fix this freaking stricken reactor that they seem to have over there.
Like laser eye repair it and shit. Oh no, wait, it was like finger guns, wasn't it?
Your finger beams and of course the arse gun, which I love.
That's right, the arse gun. Yeah, but did he use his feet as well? Like, did he use the rockets sometimes to weld shit shut?
Yes, he could do that.
Yeah.
And hands. Didn't he have rockets in his hands for extra boost?
But
Iron Man versus Astro.
Oh wow, that
Iron Man
coming out.
I think Iron Man would fucking
2016 apparently. Anyway,
yeah, man, come on. It's Tony
Astro Boy.
He's Tony Stark, man. He could probably fucking reprogram him. You know.
I know the kind of crossover you're talking about, mate.
Yes, anyway.
I've seen those kind of movies.
10 on 10.
Iron Man versus Astro Boy.
Everything will be pixelated though. Those Japanese ones, they always pixelate the good shit. Fukushima, man, I haven't heard anything in the mainstream news because the news is just so jam-packed full of other shit going on.
Well, as I was going to say, it's been a while since I've actually looked up the sites that I usually look up for news on Fukushima because it's something that, I think about a little bit here and there.
I found the best coverage has been, I don't know if you've seen it, but Vice News.
Right.
They do some really good pieces on Fukushima.
Yeah, okay. I've seen a couple of docos that might have been done by them, or reports.
One of them was talking about the technicians that decided, okay, we're going to be the ones that go in and we understand that we're pretty much suicide missioning, and they're like interviewing these dudes and like they picked,
do you mean when it first happened?
Well, yeah, one of the first team that would go in to try and deal with at least stopping it become a major meltdown, which had the potential, and they knew they had to send in a team of I think it was like 7 dudes that they chose, and it's this story about how they chose guys with no family. A lot of them though ended up not being old, like in their 20s, and it's not a guarantee that it was a suicide mission, but the amount.
Did they have a major debt to the Yakuza or something?
I
heard rumors of that. They got all these dead shit guys come up that owed debts or whatever and got them working.
And they're the ones that are sent in to try and fix it.
I don't know how true that is.
I think they knew that if this got bad, it's going to look bad to their country, and they're pretty loyal to their country.
Yeah.
Well, that's
so they're going to go
got a lot to answer for.
I was actually reading a bit of good news about it because apparently they've brought in this company that was contracted to TEPCO have this little or big device for purifying the water that they've got stored all around the place in about 400 giant bloody tanks, which are apparently shoddily made. There's rivets coming out and water leaking.
Was this prior to the accident happening?
No, after it. This is after. All the water they've collected because there's water running into the cooling rods, and they've got to move that out
to try and keep it cool.
But did they fuck up? Like, were they not properly prepared?
It was the tsunami. It was the tsunami.
No, I know it was because of the tsunami, but what I'm saying is were they underprepared? Is that what people are saying? But I don't know. I haven't been following it.
A lot of what they're saying is that the response to it was downplayed, because they didn't want it to be this exposure.
The new Chernobyl.
They were trying to save face.
So they put their saving face ahead of public safety.
And then a lot of the shit that...
But that being said, what are you going to fucking do? There's only so much you can do.
One of the things that they're saying is with all of these storage tanks that they've now got going, which are having to be done ad hoc. None of those were there before it happened. They're creating these to store this water.
Store it.
But before that even happened, apparently... it was just seawater coming in and flowing back out. There was no control of it.
Well, no, a lot of it was leaking into the sea, 300 or 400 tons a day was going straight into the Pacific. So they're containing it with these giant tanks, which are pretty badly made, if reports are true.
And they've made.
And they're adding to it every day. They're adding another 300 to 400 metric tons of this dirty water to store. But the good news is
radiated water, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
That's what all sorts of shit in it,
though.
right?
But I'm not a fucking nuclear scientist or nothing. But isn't the whole reason why they have to put water in there is because of the heat?
The heat.
They want to do a meltdown.
It's the rods.
So when they put the water in there and it gets too hot, what happens? Doesn't it evaporate, go into steam, and then it's like, why do they need to store a radiated
Yeah, it does,
water?
but it's constantly circulating over them.
Right.
I'm sure there is an amount of steam, which they do something with, and it goes back into
condensation
the
or
system.
some shit.
Like, you know, they recycle everything.
But it's all sealed in the core as well. And
it all goes back to
the water
itself.
into the core to try and cool down those fuel rods, which are then...
They need constant cooling.
Yeah, constant cooling. And then when that water comes back out, it's got all the fucking radioactive shit all through it. What are you going to do with that? You can't pour it back into the fucking drain or into the ocean. It's going to fuck everything. So what they have to do is store it.
You're saying a lot of it would evaporate, but heaps of it isn't, because just the sheer amount of volume of water that they're pumping into
no, I don't think they can let it evaporate.
Yeah, no,
I think it goes back
it's all contained
in the core, which is
so by the
like
time
sealed.
it comes back out, that's not evaporatable.
It's not like it's an open pit and it's just evaporating.
No, they're saying it's contained.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Remember, we watched that thing, and they fucking built the nuclear reactor in the fucking ice.
Oh yeah.
Remember, we were watching it the other night, and it was some fucking old school thing, and I was transfixed, man. And they dug. It was like in the North Pole or Greenland or something.
Yeah.
And they fucking had these modified like digging machines, and they dug massive trenches, right, in the fucking solid ice in these glaciers in Greenland. And they were fucking building an American base there, right? Yeah, right. And it was like a man-first machine. Look, fuck you, nature. We're going to fucking rape you and fucking build a fucking trench here in the middle of fucking nowhere, right? And I was like, there's no fucking way. All these people are going to fucking die. Anyway, long story short, they fucking dug these massive trenches, built these massive fucking structures in these things so people could live in it, but then they needed to power it. So they were like, all right, it was just like in the 60s or something. And they're like, all right, we need to power it, so we're going to bring in a nuclear reactor and put it into one of these fucking trenches.
As you do.
So they built another fucking trench, which is like 3 times as big, and fucking put in...
It's this massive city underneath 2 kilometres of ice in Greenland. It's still there, and it's still powered by that reactor. And it's got enough, like... accommodation for, what was it, like 2,000 people or something
like that, something ridiculous, some like fucking army base in the ice. It's the US Army that did this.
It's the US Army.
But it's remember, they got the rods, man. They got the rods, they clean them. They're the uranium.
Do you reckon that's where the people from MH370 are staying now?
Fucking hell. All of the fucking original fucking 9/11 passengers are down there as well. They're like, finally we got some fucking new neighbours, like when the MHs went down. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. I like that idea.
They put those
Not
rods.
to mention Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper.
They put those rods.
Phillips.
Those rods are what they need to cool at Fukushima. Those rods that we saw that they had to remember, and they're like, oh yay, it's gone critical. That they put them inside the sealed core, underneath that fucking pool of water. And the core's underneath that.
And essentially, nuclear power is the heat that's generated
fission instead of fusion.
Water into steam that drives turbines. That's how we get power out of nuclear energy, isn't it? It's an amazing technology, but at the same time,
it's dicey.
Fucking boneheaded. And I found this shit that if we tweak it in the right way, we'll go hotter than the sun, so we'll just stick it in a pool of water, and all the steam that comes off that pool, we're going to fucking turn a little fan.
Well, scarier than tsunamis is solar flares. I read a really interesting hypothesis on if a solar flare occurred and knocked out whatever systems that were powering these nuclear stations went down. You know, they have to bring in all trucks with diesel fuel 24/7 all day to power these things, you know. And if shit fucked up that badly, how long are the trucks going to be coming in for? And don't forget, there's 400 around the planet, over 400
power
stations.
Power stations. Fucking hell.
So
But you're talking
how
about
do you
the solar
keep the
flare
fuel
like
coming
wiping
in?
out all like electrical components
Yeah,
and stuff. But wouldn't that also affect the
Communications.
trucks as well? The diesel trucks? 'Cause
These
wouldn't they
days
still
it
have
probably would.
starters and stuff.
These days it probably would, yeah.
Solar flares are full on. Like I remember probably about a year or so ago now, there was actually one that like NASA announced, like they knew it was going to happen. It was like due.
And it was on the other side of the sun,
Yeah,
where we were, yeah.
And if it had been on the right side, like they were like, you know, all communication satellites would be gone. Just like
Apparently it was bigger than that 1860s one that hit Earth, and nothing really happened. All it did was knock out a few telegraph lines. I think it was around the 1860s.
full on.
Yeah, that was the last big one to hit Earth.
Yeah.
Well,
so
it'll happen
we're
again.
overdue,
and,
apparently.
yeah,
fucking hell. That's crazy. Just like that, just some
solar rate.
flash of shit. Just fucks your shit up, man. That's crazy. But yeah, I mean, put yourself in the shoes of being the captains of industry when we discovered nuclear power. How could you not fucking try?
But you saw in that video, they were like, it was so confident, and it was like with, you know, bravado that they were doing this. It's like, okay, you know, and then it's gone critical, and it's like,
Wow.
we've got this completely under control. This is a completely normal thing for us to do.
Yeah.
And that would have been the mindset of the time. It's like, you know, nuclear power is this new thing that we found with all this other shit.
It's like turning on the microwave.
You know,
It's like, this is how it works. And you switch on the microwave and look how quick it works.
Oh, the technology was amazing when it came out. All that stuff post World War II, which raises another topic we should talk about one day. Is you know, hidden World War II histories,
Oh yeah.
which I've been reading a fair bit about. I'll,
What kind of things have you been seeing?
I don't want to get too much into it because I'm a little bit prepared for this topic. But
yeah,
it's good.
if you've got some good tidbits for us to kick off on some of that stuff for future episodes, give us comments and stuff. We'd like to hear from you.
Long story short, read a lot of really in-depth stuff about Operation Paperclip post-war, when the Allies went in, and the Russians from the other side, and snared all the top scientists.
Yeah.
Gave them immunity, moved them back. Werner von Braun, the most popular, most famous case in point.
Yeah.
What was it?
Well, he created the German space program, aka the American space program.
Yeah.
So he brought all his cronies over. They had their own special team. They had a lot of intelligence immunity as well. So there's theories that they expanded and sort of infiltrated the government. But not only that, a lot of the technologies that they actually brought back that don't tell people about, you know, which turned into Area 51 and associated areas of interest.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's just been, I don't know if you've seen recently in the news, it's almost felt like a distraction piece of news from the American US politics. But it's being marked as the first time their Congress has come together on a bill that seems so solid in you cannot disagree with it, that like there's nobody that's going to be, you know, blocking it just on party grounds. And the name of the bill is called No More Social Security for Nazis.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
And apparently there's been this fucking massive loophole where known Nazis, even that have been deported from America and living in places that are Nazi havens, like fucking, I can't remember what it's like.
South America, Argentina,
yeah.
There's a lot of that in the book.
Even though they've been fucking found out and shipped out, they've been getting Social Security for like the last 20, 30 years, like, you know, just mailed over to them from the fucking US government. So it's this bill that's like, who's going to stand up and be like, you know, I object to the
This is just government trying to control us again.
Think of those poor Nazis.
Is this the start of tyranny?
They were war veterans, just like anyone else. Are you saying you want me to sign a bill that takes away money from our war veterans? You know, but yeah, it's funny, like the Nazi thing, like, you know, it's pretty much a given that the US space program was accelerated from a lot of the guys from the V2 rocket program,
and V3, the almost deployed V3s, which were pretty scary. They were the first ICB intercontinentals.
Yeah, but with these missile rockets.
Oh yeah,
right. Oh, okay.
Like
apparently,
space rockets.
Apparently, the V3s had the potential of, you know, apparently getting to New York
from Germany.
From Germany.
And then if they got further along, and if they figured out how to do a nuclear warhead,
well, so that's
attach that to
my next point, is that there's a lot of evidence to say that they had the bomb.
No way.
And were almost going to use it. They had a lot of stuff, man. A lot of the jet planes.
Well, they would have used it without prejudice.
In the bomb were Germans anyway, right?
No, not really. Well, actually,
was it the Manhattan Project?
Manhattan Project, Monsanto,
which was like,
Einstein,
mostly Americans. It's something that a lot of people reference to when people say that conspiracies can't exist, because especially government-based conspiracies, because that's too many people to keep quiet. Someone would blab, someone would reveal. But the Manhattan Project was a massive division of
it was a heavily compartmentalized project. So these guys had no idea what these guys were doing. Monsanto, which I was going to bring up today as well, and the seed movement. Monsanto had a fair bit to do with the Manhattan Project. The head of Monsanto was approached by the government to co-direct the Manhattan Project. Their thing was the Dayton Project or something, which was a part of the widest the Manhattan Project. It was a small thing where they worked out the neutron, which initiated the chain reaction. Neutron, whatever they call it. That was their bag, so they worked that out. They worked out the actual, from moment of impact just triggers the rest of the bomb. So they worked all that out. They had a bit of other shifty things to do with it, I'm sure.
That is fucking crazy.
So Monsanto have had their fingers in many different shifty pies over the years.
Wow.
God bless them.
Jesus, I never knew that. That is
really?
That is crazy. Yeah, I'll have to look that one up. Yeah. You talked about the seed banks. The ones that you're talking about, are they the ones where I think there's like 3 or 4 of them around the world? There's one like in the Arctic, I think.
That's an emergency one. That's the Hansvard or Svalbard, whatever it is. Norwegian seed bank. That's like I think it might be a UN initiative.
It is, yeah.
Possibly.
Do you know the story about
I've heard about it. I don't know anything about it.
Where it's like an event of cataclysmic events where basically all arable land is taken out for a while. But there might be the ability to restart. Keeping a bank of seeds means that we've got our, food supply and genetics intact for when that happens, or even like some kind of hydroponic underground setup, or what's the other one that they do? Basically, I find that amazing that there's that thought put into it by our world leaders.
It's an amazing bank. I've read a bit about it and what they've got down there, and it's just everything you can think of, pretty much every different variety of crop, a lot of old heirloom stuff, which is great. The problem is getting to it. I mean, if shit fucks up and me and you are surviving, it's like, well, Barnsey, let's go to the library and learn how to fly a plane, learn how to refuel one, how to power it up.
But who owns
how to lift the wheels
bank?
Because they've got that crew down in the underground army bunker in Greenland that are like waiting for it to happen so they can go straight from Greenland to Norway and open up the seed bank. That's what they're there for.
We're getting pretty hungry by this point, so we take off.
That's the thing, man. Like fucking,
we got no navigation.
You'd be so screwed. Like, I mean, even if the electricity was still on, in an event like that, like what are you going to do? Like, as you say, that none of us know how to fly a plane or a helicopter.
You could sail.
Hey,
break into a Ray's Outdoor and get a compass and sail.
Yeah, the water's just over there. You go and get a boat pretty quick. That'd be probably one good.
Get to India, take a couple of trail bikes on the boat, maybe. Get to India, drive up.
There's a seaplane over there. Take the seaplane.
You know how to fly a fucking seaplane?
Fucking Commando, the Black Chicken Commando. She figured it out.
Ding, 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 ding.
I can fly 4-channel little remotes, but
I lied.
But yeah, so there's a number of those. I don't know if there's any others like that big one in the Arctic, but it's in a stable area. It's cool. And it's
who
very
owns it though?
Who
controls it?
I think one of them's the UN, or it's UN.
Norway would have a fair bit to do with it, seeing it's in their backyard.
Yeah. So, like, that'd be my concern if the shit hit the fan. Would somebody then go, all right, this is ours. Everybody else, fuck off,
Oh, of course. You'd be the Mad Max of seeds. You'd be like,
but that'd be
where's
like, holy crap, mate. Mad Max Seeds edition.
my seeds? So
isn't that the same guy who played what's his name? Bennett in Commando? It's the same dude. Did you know that?
Really?
The dude, the dude with the big mohawk and the arseless chaps from Mad Max 2 that's hanging off the front of the truck is the same dude from Commando that wears the chainmail. The dude, like the overweight, out of shape dude with the chainmail shirt. It's the same dude.
I don't need no stinking knife.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need no stinking knife.
Let off some steam, Bennett.
Let off some steam.
So anyway, there's the seed saving the seed savers movement is basically where people are trying to save these different varieties of mainly edible vegetables and whatnot, but other things as well. It's pretty popular in the States. They've got seedsavers.org has a lot of chapters around the world in different countries which are striving to save these awesome heirloom varieties from going out. And
a lot of it would be for when the world supply gets tainted by GM as well. We're trying to get
that, just biodiversity.
It's a major problem. There's a lot of these like patented fucking seed strains.
These Roundup resistant seeds I keep hearing about, and they're like really dominant, and they keep like
it's really problematic.
They invade Roundup Ready. The Roundup Ready line of products in Monsanto is roughly 50% of their business. So they've got a lot of different Roundup Ready seeds. It's scary. I even heard a rumor they've got an aluminium resistant seed.
Yeah.
Why aluminium?
Well, this is where it gets a bit conspiratorial because
I know this one.
It gives a bit of credence to the whole chemtrail conspiracy.
So here's the breakdown that I understand.
So the theory is that in chemtrails, aluminium is like
one of the elements. Along with barium and etc.
It's a multi-pronged theory. The material in the chemtrails does have aluminum particle in it, but the aluminum particle is actually more of a geoengineering thing because they're trying to figure out how to create these like artificial cloud coverage for on days where the planet has not enough cloud coverage, and they can artificially create something that doesn't actually allow that heat into the biosphere and can reflect it back out. That's the aluminum thing. But a byproduct of the aluminum in the thing is that does soak the soil because this particulate, it lingers for a while, but then it eventually comes down, precipitates down. And there's also other particulates in it that do shit with pH levels in soil. So these seeds and the patents can be found. That's not a conspiratorial theory on it. There is Monsanto patents on seed that will germinate in higher pH level soils and are more aluminum resistant.
So bottom line is that it doesn't occur naturally in the soil. So that's it's right, like, why the hell are you...
And a lot of these places that claim they're getting really heavy coverage of these fucking chemtrail sprays, their soil testing is fucking definitely elevated pH and weird material, like metallic materials in it. Wow. Now the counteraction to that, just for fair balance, is that it seems that a lot of the areas that seem to have a lot of chemtrails also have a lot of commercial flights. And the amount of fucking pollution and shit that's just in the exhaust. I never really thought about this. Yeah. It's a funny thing that fucking Joe Rogan talks about on his podcast is when he laughs at his friends that talk about chemtrails, he's like, even the ones that you can't see leaving a trail, do you know how fucking much pollutants there is? And as years go on, the amount of air traffic increases and the amount of areas that receive that traffic expands, and that maybe that those pH levels in soils are just the natural fucking pollution from plants.
Another thing I saw similar to that was boats on all the shipping lanes, and apparently they throw out massive amounts of diesel pollutants. Massive. And there's so many cargo ships going back and forth. You think about import, export all around the world. There's shipping all over the place.
Just shit goes out of the ships as well.
Well, yeah.
You know, like...
Sure.
You know, at least that, you know, the fish are going to eat it. But, you know, still, it's, you know, a foreign object that you're introducing into this environment. And it's like, you know, 1 or 2 ships, it's not going to... But there's how many fucking ships are there out there, you know? Like... And didn't fucking Mythbusters do fucking a thing when they do a shit and it comes out and it crystallizes and it hits somebody on the ground? I think it's like blue ice.
Well, wasn't there the story about the frozen urine javelin?
What?
Have you heard that one?
What?
Like
Anyway,
a stream of piss for
Yeah, like, didn't someone get like stabbed with like a frozen?
Right.
That made up. That
But
made
you
up.
think about
I'm
how many
sure I heard
planes
that.
there are.
Frozen, dude, we should-
Is that the piss of death?
yes. Like,
There you go.
So yeah, getting back to seed saving, it's
Yeah,
a thing that everyone should really do. Everyone should make use of any area that they can grow something, preferably edible, and preserve the seeds. Hand them on. You know, I was thinking I got the idea from Con, the gardener, on TV. He's awesome. I worked with him
Not on the computer,
big
yeah.
beard and
SBS, dude.
on Gardening Australia.
Big
my
hippie
girlfriend
dude.
reckons that he's terrifying. She really likes it. She says, "I really love what he does and stuff." But when he smiles, his face becomes like this, like cartoon monster.
No, he rocks. He's awesome. I worked with him a couple of weeks ago, actually.
Really?
Yeah, he was awesome. But he had an idea of when your plants run to seed,
Yeah.
save them, of course. Go up to your library, make a little board with hooks on it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Put your seeds in a little bag and hang them off the hooks. Write down when it was harvested, what it is, etc., and just have a seed swapping service. Just share the seeds around, keep them going. But that's what we've got to avoid. We've totally got to avoid people owning the seed because it's fucking ours, man. Like,
And also, just
everyone
becoming,
likes
like,
to eat.
incestuous as well.
We're all food junkies. We all need a hit.
But also, like, not just not having just one like type of seed. Like, you need the
Exactly.
diversity
Going
and
back to
stuff as well.
biodiversity, what you were saying before, it's simply not so much. Also a genetically modified thing, but also just in biodiversity in general, you need all these different crops.
Yeah.
You know, to keep it going, because one is bound to fuck out if you keep growing that over and over again. It's bound to fuck out eventually.
One thing that I've had told to me that is like, I don't know if it's like a pro genetically modified argument or not, but one of my favorite fruits is banana. Like I fucking smash several bananas a week. I fucking love that
Banana
shit.
bread?
Chop one up, fucking just in fresh cream in a bowl. Oh, smoothie. I fucking love bananas, man. And I'm told that without genetically modified foods, the banana that I know and love would not exist.
I've heard that. Apparently there's been a big effort to save the banana because it's been fucking out. They've had to, and to get the seeds is a really excruciating process. You got to mash it through numerous filters to get these they're tiny.
I think it's like when you bite a banana and there's like
in the middle there, that core
dots.
bit.
I think they're the seeds.
I'm not sure. I think they must be
meant to, like, in a more natural growing variety of bananas.
They'd be more significant. Like
they're not as like I don't think they're as big. I think they fall off quicker, and they're meant to like decompose and then release the seed.
but don't you? Do you have? I seem to have a memory of like seeds being more a part of bananas, like when I was young.
Really?
Yeah, I reckon. What do you?
the little black seeds.
Yeah.
Yes and no.
I don't know. I feel like
suppose.
I noticed them more, and now it seems like I feel like there was a lot of food. It's like all of
Seedless.
The
Well, that's it.
All the inconvenient parts of it.
That might be part of
That
that might be part of the evil
Mandarin.
plan. All these seedless melons and seedless
I've got
this
to
and
say
that.
though, a fucking seedless mandarin is
Yeah.
fucking.
They are
Yeah,
good.
it is.
Yeah.
Like I hate pulling that shit out. And I hate it so much that I'll spend 10 minutes
Taking them out.
But you come to my house.
reaching a seed each one is like.
Come to my house in winter and eat off the tree next door.
Oh, you've
and
got a
you'll
mandarin
put up
tree.
with the seeds.
Really?
Next door doesn't. We get enough hanging over. They got orange and mandarins. You got to watch the bats but
How do mandarins grow then? Is it on a tree?
on a tree.
Drink?
Huh?
Yeah.
Citrus tree. Oh, I'm right. Thanks, mate. Yeah, they just grow on a tree. But they're delicious, man. You don't worry about the seeds. My in-laws grew the most awesome mangoes I've ever early this year. I've never tasted anything like them.
I'm
beautiful.
getting heaps back into mangoes. It was I don't know. There was what time of year is good for mangoes? Is it
Well, between now and February, basically.
Summer.
November to February. I don't trust people that don't like mangoes.
I don't like mangoes.
I don't
Fuck you.
get it. How can you not like a mango?
I'm just not. I don't know. It's not that I don't.
Oh, so
like
you're
them.
one of them.
It's not that I don't like them.
He fucking lives in Queensland and he supports fucking Queensland and fucking state of origin. He doesn't eat fucking mangoes. What's the wrong
It's not
with this
that I
story?
don't eat them. It's just that I'm not like if there was strawberries and apples and then mango, I'd go fucking mangoes last out of that.
Oh my god!
Really? Strawberries, mangoes, they're probably my two favourite
When
fruits,
you
and
cut
pineapple.
deep chip
Apricots,
off
man.
the side of
And
a
watermelon.
fucking mango, and you get it just the cut perfect where you didn't cut any stone out, but you did get the right fleshy cheek out, and you dice that shit up, and the dice bits are like, you know, fucking that big, and you just slurp them off that skin. That is a fucking tasty fruit. We used to live in Queensland, and there was 2 mango trees within bike rides of our house.
I remember
hit that shit up hard.
They were fucking like as big as your head.
They were awesome.
They were
mangoes.
fucking huge mangoes,
and they were like take as you want for years. But then one of them, I think somebody moved into a house.
And they got shitty.
They figured that it was there, but it wasn't on their property. It was behind their house.
It was on the corner of the street. Remember?
And they came at us with air gun, BB guns. Oh, see, that's the
how's that for a slice?
Oh,
that's Escher type.
Hang on. Over. Yeah. Over the other way.
I actually hate photographing food. I always go on Facebook and tell people not to post meals.
I don't fucking care.
Here I am photographing my cut mango.
Ratatouille.
Aren't I a hypocrite?
Mango's the shit.
But anyway, just on a final note,
that's a fruit that takes a lot of seed compared to the amount of fruit.
My tree's that big at home.
What, a mango?
Yeah.
So you've just taken a mango seed
off the parents-in-law. I put one of them in the garden. It came up.
Really?
Yeah, off the in-laws' tree.
Full on.
Yeah.
Does it take a long time?
Oh God, I don't know.
Years,
take
man.
years.
They're massive.
Yeah.
Remember those ones? And we were
huge.
younger. But goddamn, they were some of the biggest trees I've ever climbed.
They do get massive. One more thing about mangoes, if I could, I'd just like to take this opportunity to publicly diss Calypso mangoes.
Oh, really?
Fucking shit.
You're not a fan of the...
It's got to be Kensington Pride all the way. Even the gold ones. I don't know about R2, E2, D2, whatever they're called. They're okay. But yeah, Calypsos, speaking of GM, they're just bred for...
You got a lighter? I can do the beer lighter trick.
They're just bred for looks and storage and transport, and they're not bred for taste at all. And the big selling point is more flesh, less seed, and just total no flavour they should be adding. But anyway, Kensington Pride all the way. Don't buy Calypsos. Let's put them out of business. And one more thing on the seeds, if I could, quickly, because I think we're running out of time. How's the time?
What time is it?
6.
Monsanto are doing a lot of lobbying to stop seed trading and swapping and whatnot.
Apparently they've got regular fucking money that have poured into their Terminator seed fucking technology.
Oh, it's evil. Yeah,
What's Terminator seed?
Fucked up.
You can't grow them. They don't grow.
One yield come out of your seed. So you go and buy a bag of fucking Monsanto tomatoes, corn, whatever. Yeah, it grows great and it's Roundup resistant, so you can spray the shit out of that fucking Roundup.
And you save a few seeds.
But it won't drop any seeds for you.
No, it'll drop seeds, but you'll go, oh, cool, and you plant them and it's nothing happens.
They're dead.
So they're like one yield.
How crazy is that?
That's wild.
And when you said that they had a hand in the fucking Manhattan Project, like the fact
the list goes on.
How could you fucking lie in your beds knowing that the
plastics, DDT, Agent Orange, pharmaceuticals. A good thing is a Parkinson's drug that they synthesised a compound. Roundup, of course. LED lights, which is probably one of their better ones.
They came up with LED
in the 60s and 70s.
Really?
They made a lot of money with that through calculators, clocks, digital watches.
Right.
They made a lot of money with that. So they're massive. You get the feeling now of how massive they are. They've just been around for so long. They've been in so many industries and made so much freaking money. Not to mention all their military things, with the bomb and Agent Orange, etc.
And did they really care about PR?
They've licensed a lot of their GM technology to other companies like Syngenta or whatever it is.
Right.
A lot of other seed companies are licensing it, so it's out there. It's fully out there. I think. The patent for it expires this year. I think it's just expired.
Really?
The patent for GM or something like that. Something's expired.
But I think they clearly do care about PR because some of the stuff that they're doing should be way bigger news than it is. So I have to think that they're spending a lot of energy on keeping it at a certain level.
Yeah.
Well below like what it probably should be at.
Oh, definitely. Definitely got to have a hand in it. Like, I mean, but have you seen that It's quite a few years old now, but the documentary Outfoxed.
It's a great one.
Awesome about Fox News.
Yeah, it's about
Fox
Rupert.
News, and Rupert Murdoch was basically, in a nutshell, handing post-it notes to anchors minutes before the show, telling them this is the angle that you take on this. This is the opinion you have. This is the way.
They're talking about when the culture changed in like '86 and they were used to being a news.
Yeah, that's
where.
And then all of a sudden the word came down and they went.
And there was no alternatives, really. It was like these smaller, news agencies that, and then he even bought all of those out. And yeah, I mean, that's, maybe there's a hand in that. Like a Monsanto is going to have, probably a lot of advertising dollars, behind a lot of the major news broadcasts. So, who's going to go out? It's not exactly a story that's like, breaking news. Look at this shit that's going down there.
It takes a lot of explanation. It's not snappy.
And I'm sure there's
Monsanto does this.
I'm sure there's a lot of bunk science out there as well, based around it as well.
Of course.
And there's probably, as you list some of the things that might be considered good, maybe the power of a corporation that big could only bring us some of the good things that they can do. Does that excuse the fucking...
Well, funnily enough, they've swallowed up a lot of agri-businesses. They've bought up a lot. They're even now moving into the heirloom business. They're buying up a lot of heirloom companies, but they're still continuing it as an option. But again, they control it. That's the bottom line.
Just the stuff they've done in the agriculture business is fucking unbelievable. There's a documentary called Food Incorporated, I think it's called.
Yeah, I've seen a bit of that.
And
I keep getting told that I should watch it, but beware, and I keep putting it off.
Well, it's beware because there's a lot of revealing what's in mainstream food and stuff. But one of the more angering parts of it is the cases where they show farmers that have resisted this Monsanto seed. And their neighbours have fucking gotten on board. Cross-pollination has come into their fucking fields, and they've been retroactively sued. And their whole farm's just taken. Well,
now they've moved on from. They went from suing farmers to suing entire states. Now they're suing freaking countries. They're suing Guatemala for banning Monsanto or genetically modified. They banned something like that.
I read it.
They ousted them, and now they're going, okay, well, we're going to sue.
Isn't that wasn't there fucking not with Monsanto? But I mean, this shit starts wars. Like wasn't the Bay of Pigs triggered off by some fucking big protest by a fruit growing company in Cuba, and then they've got all militant. Like fucking shit like this has happened before.
I only know
sorry, not the Cuban Missile Crisis. Sorry, not Bay of Pigs. It was the Cuban Missile Crisis started with this big protest over there was I can't remember what it was. There was something happened with a fruit growing company and one of these major American companies came in and just basically tried to put them out of business, and then it all got fucking hectic.
Well, wasn't that around the time that the Cuban embargo was put in place as well? Was during the Cuban Missile Crisis? So this probably makes sense. As there was some kind of trade dispute, which would, probably, some kind of food producer would make sense in that. I when you said Bay of Pigs, I just immediately started fucking singing Billy Joel. That's the only reference I have to.
We didn't write this fucking song.
Pigs and beige and that part of that song. Yeah.
Can I just? I know we're running out of time, but can I bring something up that I came across a few weeks ago that I was absolutely gobsmacked by? Have you guys heard about PETA and these fucking people that are going out and fucking kidnapping people's dogs and fucking putting them down?
No.
Fucking for real.
I read that.
That was in America. It's been happening in the UK. It never occurred to me. I didn't know anything about this. I did quite a bit of research and found that there are just so many reports about PETA and what a fucked up organisation it is when it comes to house pets and stuff like that. I mean, I think people have had some bad connotations with PETA with stuff like throwing paint on people that are wearing fur and stuff like that, and they're quite confrontational and stuff like that. That is not what I'm talking about at all. Someone posted
this is more fucking Final Solution shit,
is just brutal Final Solution shit. So basically what happened was there was a woman pulls up to a house. It was all caught on video camera. A woman pulls up to a house in a PETA van and there's a dog on the front veranda of this house. No one's home. Or maybe the front door's open. But anyway, the dog is there, right, on its own property. This woman comes up, looks around, grabs the dog, puts it in the van and drives off, all caught on video. The people come home and like, where's the fucking dog?
What the fuck, man?
Where's the dog?
What
the fuck is going on? What is going on? Listen, I'll tell you the story. This is what I found out. They're like, where's the fucking dog? They look at the video camera footage and go, what the fuck? They ring up Peter and they're like, oh, the dog's been put down.
What? So is this like they're treating themselves like child services and coming in, and this is not a good environment?
Yeah, they're called dogs.
Right, and dude, not only okay, and this is where it gets fucking crazy because I started reading up on it, and Peter have announced themselves as an organisation where it's like any strays or unwanted animals or whatever, you know, we'll take them on and blah 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 blah. Yeah. They are killing 96% of them within the fucking first 24 hours.
Yeah, I've heard.
They are not keeping any of them. They're not even like advertising them.
The same thing goes on at the pounds, though.
No. But they're not even advertising them to be for people to be able to adopt them or anything. They're not. It's like within the first 24 hours. In fact, to the point where I saw a letter of inspection where someone came around and they are classing themselves as an animal shelter.
Yeah.
And they go around and it's like, where's the animal shelter?
Yeah.
So have they put out a statement or anything?
Huh?
Have they put out a statement about this?
Peter hadn't responded to this article that I had read. No, they hadn't put out a statement at the time that I read this. But then I just read more and more, and apparently it's like the mentality that's coming down from on top within that organisation is that animals should not be kept as pets.
There's some fucking craziness. I can tell you another crazy
to the point where it's like they're fucking like putting all these animals down and like taking animals from fucking people's houses.
Well, that's
when they're
the
not
line
there.
that they're crossing.
What
you know,
the fuck
they're
is
kidnapping a family member. You know, like that's fucked up, man.
Yeah.
They told this whole personal story of the young girl that, like, you know, they were an immigrant family and the parents were out working and the young girl had trouble adjusting. It's very sad and it adds to the tragedy of the situation, but it doesn't really. It's not
still trespassing on somebody else's fucking property.
But just the basic facts of like what is going on. It's like,
it seems to be this weird fucking built-in flaw into what we call modern human society. It really is, because every time I watch a charitable organisation, it gets to this critical mass where it fucking becomes more harm than good, and there's a lot of reasons why that happens. It becomes that you get like people that now their career is based off that cause. You know, it's
right, and then it's like the onus, the focus shifts to maintaining.
Yeah, like that
becomes profit driven, really.
Yeah,
in a funny way.
People say that about like things like the Cancer Council. I'm not saying that, but I have heard people say that about things like the Cancer Council and all these cancer organisations. Is like, where is the incentive for them to actually cure cancer? It's a conflict of interest. I'm not personally.
We've opened up a whole new topic there, Mitch.
That's a cure for cancer.
One, man.
I'm just saying I've heard that said. I'm not saying I agree with it.
It makes sense though. Like when someone lays it down for you, that isn't it more profitable for them to treat it than it have it cured? And then that makes you go, I don't know. There's a lot of fucking fuckery that has to go into play for that to actually be real. For people going, you know, does that mean that there's somebody with a cure right now? And no. 5 more years. You know, I've got a 250k fucking salary. I need 5 more years and then we can pull it out. It's like, but my grandma needs it now. No, there's too much at stake. I don't think it's like that, but I do think that as I was saying, there's a critical mass point with charities where people start to get fucking CEO level fucking salaries based off it. They become celebrities based off just spruiking this cause, you know? Fucking, we've seen it a million times where fucking Jennifer Lopez, I think, where she was talking about some country she visited and the fucking, you know, she felt the connection with the people there, and it turned out she'd never visited there.
Oh yeah.
It was unfortunately fact checked. You know, there's that whole element of celebrity through charity, and it's almost as if
accept me being shoved down your fucking throat because it's for a good cause.
Okay, Barnsey, look, we talked about this last time. I mentioned it to you off the air after we'd done our very first podcast, and I told you guys that I balked away from saying it at the time, but I think now is the time. I am going to announce it. I'm going to say to all the listeners and the viewers of the Barnsey Podcast, we want to start a brand new viral video because we're all a bit upset that Coney has gone off the radars. Right now, we've had the ice bucket challenge. Okay, and that went super viral. It's a great thing where you in a viral sense. I don't know about the logistics of how it actually ended up helping anyone, but in terms of just purely from a viral point of view, that worked very effectively with the Ice Bucket Challenge nominating someone else. So what we want to do is we want to bring back Coney. We want to do the Street Wank Off Challenge, which is where the guy that did the Coney viral campaign back in 2012, Coney 2012, rip off all your clothes, go to a street corner, start wanking yourself off and shouting at oncoming traffic, and nominate 3 other people to do the next wank off challenge. This thing is going to go viral. You heard it first on the Barnsey Podcast.
Hashtag wank challenge.
On that note, I'm going home.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Barnsey Podcast. We'll be back soon.
Yeah. Give us suggestions, comments, upvotes, all that kind of shit.
Thanks to everyone that's been downloading us on iTunes and on Stitcher. As always, we do have the audio-only versions, so look underneath the video description for the links to that, and we'll be back very soon. Thanks, Mitch, and thanks, Jezza.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, guys.